He wonders why is he naked in the Sada forest. He then marvels at the fact that he hasn't found the monster that was making those sounds yet. Even though the sound came from this direction, he apologizes and then attempts to leave, but is stopped by Atis, who calls him suspicious because this isn't the place where level 5 like him should be. Han-Bin reveals how he heard a loud sound while passing through and thought that would be a big monster. He attempts to evade by bringing his party but is stopped again, as Atis demands he answers truthfully. He inquires Han-Bin if he saw the monster, and then threatens him with his magic to tell the details. Han-Bin gets slightly bit serious and grabs his magic wand. Furious, he questions Atis on why is he doing this, and what's his and Lauda's deal. He also thinks the prideful hunter's party member is looking down on him. Atis admits that being harsh with his words wasn't his intention. He got carried a bit away by his emotions. Just when things are about to settle down, Lauda appears and starts talking smack about Han-Bin. He reveals being furious at him because he initially humiliated Suguri, and now has planned on laying his hand on the party's female member. Atis presumes that Lauda is misunderstanding something. He also thinks that it might be a good idea to stay away from him. He respects him because the prideful hunter is a pretty strong swordsman, and the pose he is demonstrating shows that he's getting ready to execute a technique. Both of them indicate through their actions that they don't care how embarrassing or strong attacks Lauda demonstrates. Being ignored makes him extremely angry, and the anger fuels his desire to demonstrate incredible strength. Lauda uses Thunder Lightning Sword, hoping this attack will kill the Han-Bin. However, since Han-Bin doesn't want to make this tiny matter a big thing, he bows down to apologize and unknowingly gets hit on his back, which creates a big explosion. Later, Erwin treats the hunter, while Berkman reassures Han-Bin that what happened wasn't his fault. Han-Bin knows it's not a pain he can be forgiven for. The tank suggests they should wait for the results. After treating the injured Lauda, Erwin reveals that his life isn't in danger anymore because Han-Bin brought him to her quickly. But there seems to be another problem. All the men that stood there fell silent. The blame may have fallen on Lauda himself, but the pain and suffering he was going through was something that no one could comfort him from. Due to this accident, Lauda received a major hit on his privates. That morning, Atis took him back to Anpur City. After he learned the truth about Atis's gender, he had a hard time facing him again. The monster who made that sound couldn't be found, and Han-Bin also forgot about it after spending 3 months at Berkman's party. At present, the Berkman's party has set a camp in front of Sada Forest. The tank himself and his party members are shocked to learn that Lauda went inside a dungeon all alone. Amber also feels that going alone inside the dungeon at Lauda's level is the same as committing suicide. However, Han-Bin thought the prideful hunter's level was pretty high. She discloses that Berkman has been used to fighting indigenous monsters. Those monsters were hunted for them to survive, so it helped him naturally raise his level. Han-Bin remembers that Efer and the Lord Devolk are unique monsters. He wonders how different are these dungeon monsters compared to normal ones. Amber reveals that those monsters are not originally from this world. She explains they are created by the dungeons that were set up by the evil god Ormflaus, and it's common to see monsters over level 30, or even higher levels. Han-Bin believes that if they certainly are level 30 or above, then it might help him to level up. He decides to go to the dungeon, even if he has to go in secret. Berkman reveals that monsters aren't the only problem. Many other worlders also go hunting there secretly. Han-Bin remembers that screening for dungeon entry is rigorous, so he thinks of forgetting about going there. He has Berkman reveal that Lauda may be hoping to find a healing artifact. The tank further explains that the sources that are placed within those dungeons are artifacts. They come in various shapes and all have different abilities. According to rumors, one of those artifacts can heal any type of wound, and Lauda is most likely looking for that artifact. Han-Bin perceives dungeons and artifacts like a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. He thinks that it's his only option. Berkman turns off the lights, as there have been many monsters creeping out of Sath Forest as of late. He hopes it isn't a bad omen. When he falls asleep, Han-Bin sneaks out and proceeds inside the dense Sada Forest. He finds the forest very spooky, calling it a suitable place for a huge monster to appear. He also thinks of saying hello to Efer as she lives nearby, but ends up bumping into a unique monster. The monster he has bumped into is a level 31 Tatiro that can nullify attacks from a sword with its body, which is entirely encased in a carapace, though it's weak to magic. Tatiros usually dwell in the dungeons. He knows that these monsters are a bad match for him to face. Unexpectedly, another Tatiro monster surrounds him, and they start enunciating human language. Comprehensible, but not clear. He seems to be having unwavering confidence about this fight, which terrifies Tatiros. The monsters claim knives don't hurt them and they eat knife holders. He approaches the monster, questioning why it's mentioning the other Tatiros when its kins have already withdrawn from the fight. He quickly catches up to the running Tatiro. The running Tatiro tries to use a portal underneath a tree. This portal connects to Ifan Plain Dungeon, but he plucks out the tree like it's a small plant from the soil. Han-Bin wonders if the dungeon monsters that escaped from this portal caused the native monsters to be pushed out. He is a little discombobulated as he has never heard of something like this appearing in the dungeons. He presses the Tatiro to reveal who created this portal, but even the Tatiro doesn't know anything. He threatens to destroy the portal, forcing Tatiro to speak up. Tatiro mentions that no one should go inside the portal as it's a direct order from that person's order. He wonders who that person might be, and then tasks Tatiro to watch over the portal. That way that person won't find out. Since he can't get caught secretly exploring the dungeon, he has decided to go inside. Once he jumps in, Tatiro starts pushing dirt over the portal to cover it. Inside the dungeon, a party of hunters is fighting some Tatiros. The boy manages to break free from the clasps of the Tatiro that has him cornered. He appears to be equipped with an axe that can't penetrate through Tatiros's sturdy skin. The girl, who is the mage, is in a tight situation and can't seem to break free from the clutches of a Tatiro. The girl chants a spell and cooks up a flash attack, which also partially blinds the boy. He is barely able to see with one of his eyes. He asks for Runal, the party's healer, for help. However, he discovers that Runal is dead and the mage Alicia's life is also in jeopardy. The boy has given up on fighting and desperately screams for help. He receives help from Lauda, who beheads Tatiro with lightning speed, much to the boy's surprise, who tried attacking Tatiro's head earlier, but missed because Tatiro impressively protected its head with bladed arms. Moreover, the space to pierce the neck is extremely small. However, he noticed that Lauda impressively made the enemy lower its arms and then cut off its head. This technique can only be done by a dual-wielding magic swordsman. The prideful hunter discovers the hunters he has just saved are from Onpris Hunters Guild. The boy recognizes Lauda and calls him by his given name. The boy marvels at his bravery and has even heard about him coming to hunt inside the dungeon a few months ago and calls him amazing. In reality, Lauda has been trying to survive in the dungeon for the past 70 days. He recalls getting drunk in a local tavern in Onpris City. He woke up in the dungeon and didn't know how he got there. He doesn't remember coming inside the dungeon and couldn't leave since he hadn't seen another person up until now. But now he can go home. Alicia recalls the prideful hunter had been searching for a healing artifact. Laude notices the injury on her leg and shows concern, but she assures him that she is okay. The bleeding has stopped and it's all right. He pulls out a healing potion which is extremely rare to get and casually hands it to Alicia. Alicia briefly wonders if he's trying to flirt with her, but he quickly shuts it down, firmly stating he'd never do something like that. He explains he gave her the high potion simply because it wouldn't work on his own injury. His motivation behind giving her the potion was healing her wounds because, in her current condition, it would be difficult to leave. Alicia will repay this debt after leaving this dungeon. Lauda instructs everyone that they should be heading back. Alicia wonders if they're turning back after making it this far just because of her. She introduces herself as a hunter so he won't look down on her, while he is more focused on getting out of the dungeon. In actuality, he is suffering from irritable bowel syndrome. He can't hold on much longer. Abruptly, the entire dungeon starts to shake, surprising the hunters. The boy assumes it was an earthquake. However, Alicia explains that dungeons are a part of a different dimension, so earthquakes don't happen here. Laude orders the hunters to use the side path quickly. He braces for a battle, even while being unaware of the enemy lurking behind the unexpected tremors. He doesn't want to show weakness in front of a woman, even if he dies. When they hear the sound of multiple monsters closing in, Alicia is left in disbelief, questioning how Lauda could take on so many at once. The prideful hunter insists they should hurry and leave. The boy lifts Alicia into his arms and takes off running toward the exit. Alicia wants to help Lauda, but the boy feels that they are going to be a burden to him, and they can't let his last efforts be in vain. Meanwhile, Lauda is sweating, as he didn't expect the boy to also leave. He tries to stay fired up because he leveled up while hunting in the dungeon. He feels that he should be able to handle a few Tatiros. However, when a great deal of Tatiro charges toward him, he starts running for his life. The Tatiros pass by Lauda without harming him. He hears the Tatiros chanting words like run and danger and wonders what is happening. On the opposite side of the dungeon, Han-Bin is toying with Tatiros. He had high expectations since it was a dungeon, but he isn't getting any experience. Plus, he can't even swing his sword properly, as he is afraid it might make the cave collapse. Him adjusting his strength when he was in Berkman's party was too tiring. Terrified of his strength, Tatiros help each other escape, but the remaining few sacrifice themselves for their allies. After annihilating Tatiros, he finds an artifact, a fireball bracelet magic source. He is delighted but wonders why there isn't any boss guarding crazy items like these. Unaware that he already had killed the level 40 Tyro King, he is aware that if he takes the artifact, then the nearby monsters will disappear. If they don't disappear, he won't be able to level up. He feels uneasy thinking about taking the artifact for various trivial reasons. Among those many reasons is the quality of the artifact. It appears to be a mid-source artifact. The guidelines show him that the wearer of the bracelet can throw fireball magic by yelling fireball. It also says the bracelet has 30 uses left. Han-Bin without a second thought takes the bracelet, thinking it's every man's dream. After this, he tries to test the fireball and looks around the dungeon to ascertain that no one is there. How do monsters keep respawning in the dungeon? The answer to that was discovered by hunters who previously explored them. Shockingly, dungeon monsters don't breed. Instead, they are manufactured in a special zone. And that special zone is the place where the magic rests. Han-Bin has no idea why magic sources are in the shape of items, but hunters call these items artifacts as they are condensed with magical powers. His attempt to use the fireball attack fails. The system tells him that the user must be level 31 to use it. Unlike regular tools, artifacts have a level requirement to use. However, if that player can get that far, then they should not have any problems using it. He calls it trash as it didn't help him. He can't even sell it, as it would be suspicious if a level 5 tried to sell it. A dungeon artifact is a great honor for a hunter to receive, which is why it is priceless in the market. Though a hunter owning an artifact is a rare sight, and the reason for that is the pride that they had from slaying all the monsters until that moment. But the moment they got their hands on an artifact, the very opportunity it presented became their downfall. He finds a passage that leads to the boss's room and decides to continue going forward. He makes it to the boss's room. He plans on doing a quick exploration, and then returning before Berkman wakes up. This boss room is located in the middle of the dungeon. He wishes for the boss to appear so that he can go back. However, he finds the boss's room empty. He wonders where all the monsters went, leaving behind the most important magic source there for the taking. He tries calling out the monsters by shouting that he is going to take the magic source, hoping he will hear a response. He continues to intentionally provokes the monsters in the room by loudly declaring that he's taking the artifact. Suddenly he finds his arms roped by tentacles. He faces up only to find the dungeon boss, the level 45 tentacle beholder. He assumes this monster might give him some experience. However, his arms and legs are all caught by the tentacles monster. In his current position, it will be over if he gets hit by its attack. Laude comes out from the door in the far middle door of the room, much to Han-Bin's astonishment, who was occupied calculating the odds of him winning against the monster. Han-Bin starts sweating buckets thinking he just got caught and there's no coming back now. He tries to come up with an excuse but can't think of anything. Since he is strapped in the tentacles of the monster, Laude assumes he is a weak monster that utilizes an opponent's weakness and trauma against them, and gives shape to their fears. In simple terms, he thinks the monster is imitating Han-Bin. The prideful hunter wants him to not use such petty tricks again, because it's impossible for the level 5 hunter to be here. Han-Bin doesn't miss this opportunity, and puts up an act of being the dungeon boss. After this, Laude charges at him. Due to its omnidirectional body, the original monster doesn't have any blind spots and can efficiently attack and defend from the air. It will use its tentacles to attack hunters in their blind spots with super hyper speed. He saves Laude from getting hit by the dungeon boss's tentacles, without him knowing. However, Han-Bin is late to realize that he is in a position where the hunter with high sense of pride could inflict damage to his private parts with his blade. He goes airborne to save his future kids, but in the process, he puts too much power into his jump that the boss above his head stamps into the ceiling. He is more concerned about getting his pants ripped than nearly bidding farewell to his privates. He is also disappointed at the dungeon boss because it turned out to be very weak. On the other hand, Laude plans on not letting him breathe to the point of swinging his blade aimlessly. While attempting to dodge Laude's attack, he unknowingly tosses the dungeon boss around like a ball. The prideful hunter soon goes insane and blames him for making his life miserable. Though he is still convinced that he is fighting a monster that is transformed into Han-Bin, he is angry at him because he has snatched his everything, even Atisa. He unexpectedly gets under the control of the tentacle beholder, who uses him to communicate with Han-Bin. The tentacle beholder seems absolutely livid with Han-Bin, enraged over being toyed with and made a fool of. The monster believes his opponent will never be able to attack him because he has taken Laude as a hostage. Dying at the hands of his companions will be the most horrendous death. Han-Bin offers to give him Laude, and in return demands experience. Tentacle beholder changes his mind. He initially planned on using Laude as the dungeon's fertilizer, but decides to make him a mid-boss. He declares to consume him alive after massacring all the humans, and the first course will be him. Among dungeon bosses, the Tentacles Beholder is one of the most problematic bosses to deal with. It may not have any destructive attacks, but its extremely high intelligence can penetrate a human's psyche. Therefore, if a human is captured, they will become a parasitic host, obtaining extraordinary powers. Tentacles Beholder tries to get into Han-Bin's head by remarking no matter how strong he is only a human, and even if he pretends that it doesn't matter, he will never be able to cut down his companion. The monster suddenly starts to lose control of Laude. It wonders if the manipulation is incomplete and notices him lowering his sword. Tentacles Beholder soon realizes that it has been defeated by someone who is claiming to be level 45 and is exasperated. Meanwhile, Han-Bin is wondering if he will receive a pop-up message from the guidelines about the monster being too weak. He wishes to meet some other monsters outside in the Sathi forest. The monster feels that his opponent isn't a human, and opening a portal is useless if someone of his caliber is around. The dungeon will disappear once Han-Bin leaves, and even as it is dying, the monster is desperate to inform that being. He destroys the last bits of the Tentacles Beholder. Before heading back, he receives 54.5 billion of something. It's morning time and Berkman is occupied with the morning stretches. Erwin informs her party that Han-Bin is nowhere to be found. The tank reveals that he was gone when he woke up. Erwin fears that he might have gone back to the forest alone. Han-Bin returns in the nick of time with a monster corpse, scaring Erwin. When Erwin expresses her concern about him not being there when they wake up, he apologizes for making them worry but remains quiet. Moments before, he received the experience of slaying the Tentacle Beholder, and this experience was 113,240. He recalls that Helldogs only gave him 258 experience. To level up to level 5 from level 4, it takes 1,000 EXP, and to level up to level 6, one would need double the experience, 2,200. Since he just received over 100,000 experience, he wonders what level will he become. Just as he is about to celebrate unlocking something this big, the guidelines reveal that he needs 54.5 billion more experience to get to level 6. Since that shocking reveal, he is completely frozen, even calling leveling up impossible. Berkman's party continued to search for monsters that whole week, but none showed up, so the party decided to return to Onpris City sooner than planned. At the Onpris City's main entrance, they are stopped by the guards. The carriage coachman informs the guard that this is a transport carriage for the Onpris Hunters Guild. The guard asks the coachman for the pass, but the coachman doesn't have it. The guard states he won't allow them to enter until he sees a pass. The old coachman gets angry and rages at the guard, telling him that he has been doing this work before the guard's father was even born. The guard reveals that this is a direct order from the higher-ups. Han-Bin is sure that people without a pass are also allowed through if they have the mark of the guild. The guards learn that Berkman's party has been away for 3 months, and they don't know about things that happened in their absence. When the tank removes his mask, the guard instantly recognizes him and greets him. The name of the guard in charge is Goleman, and is acquainted with the tank. Goleman is a little surprised that Berkman hasn't heard anything about the recent incident. He explains that the Hunters Guild had an emergency recall of all the hunters that were out, saying that the Ifan Plains dungeon had been cleared up. Although Goleman allows them to enter the city, Han-Bin is feeling uncomfortable with the atmosphere inside the city. He didn't take the magic source, Dragon's core of the Ifan Plains dungeon, and since the dungeon is closed, he wonders if someone else took the source and cleared the dungeon. No one knows who and what led this dire situation to happen. Hubert reveals that clearing a dungeon is a great honor for hunters, but it's only the other worlders who choose to keep it under wraps. That said, Amber blames Heresy Inquisitors. They are the people sent by the Brotherhood to find and execute other worlders. Before killing, the Inquisitors will drag and torture other people indiscriminately, especially any hunter over the level 20. Han-Bin finds it unbelievable because both Berkman and Amber are over level 20. Hubert admits he is right, which is why most hunters have already left this place. Han-Bin realizes that other worlders aren't welcome anywhere. Berkman feels that they should drop this matter for now, and should finish up what they came for. He believes there should be some merit to all their hard work and nights out camping, but before that, he wants to trade in their magic stones to the Hunters Guild. He assigns Han-Bin to go and sell all the monster materials that are in the bag, and after he returns, they plan a party to celebrate Han-Bin's first mission completion. Berkman insists that Han-Bin take Amber with him, but he wants to go there by himself as he knows where Bolton's shop is. She tries to stop him because he doesn't even know the market price. However, the tank believes in him. At the Bolton shop, Bolton refuses to buy magic stones from Berkman or his associates, as he doesn't want to get involved with Heresy Inquisitors. He reveals that this place was thriving because of the dungeon. Bolton is frustrated, thinking how is he supposed to sell. Han-Bin wants him to help them out just once. He is even willing to sell the magic stones at a quarter of the original cost. Bolton is somewhat annoyed by his stubbornness, but makes it clear that no matter the price, he is not going to accept it in this situation. Suddenly, a member of the Brotherhood arrives, startling the Bolton, and says that he is going to wait for his turn. Han-Bin tries to see his level but isn't able to see it for some reason. The Brotherhood gets closer, wondering if Han-Bin can't see his level. Han-Bin dismisses his question. The Dark Brotherhood mentions that while he'd be seen as tall in other regions, this guy surpasses him in height. He drops another question, asking him why he got startled after seeing him, and why didn't he back off. He states he will be followed even if he tries to escape. The Heresy Inquisitor demands to know what god he worships and learns that Han-Bin is an atheist. Lastly, the Dark Brotherhood is curious if he has any favorite fairy tales. and he lies, claiming he's an orphan who never hurt any. The Heresy Inquisitor then summarizes everything he has been told and calls his story strange. He starts to refer to him as an otherworlder instead of using any pronouns. Han-Bin is irritated by the Dark Brotherhood's unlikable personality and explains he got the wrong person. The enemy doesn't believe Hum words and checks his level, only to find out that he was telling the truth all along. He is baffled. He expected someone with his physique to be very strong. Han-Bin wants to finish what he came for and faces Bolton, who is impressed at how daring he is around the Heresy Inquisitor. The Inquisitor admits that he was at fault and proceeds to walk straight, leaving. Han-Bin finally took a much-needed breather after nearly pissing his pants. He initially thought it would be okay because he is a low level, but feels that his heart is about to explode. He is convinced that the Dark Brotherhood is not normal. Nevertheless, he wasn't even able to confirm his levels. Bolton digs through his bag to find the items that he will be purchasing from him. He finds the Fireball Bracelet magic source in the bag, and shows interest in it. Realizing the Dark Brotherhood is nearby, Han-Bin tries to hide the artifact, but it ends up falling at the Dark Brotherhood's feet. The Inquisitor picks the artifact and wishes to know how he, a level 5, obtained an artifact. He thought he was finally in the clear, but a bigger problem had been birthed this time. He pretends to not know anything, and surprisingly, the Dark Brotherhood isn't suspicious of him, as he, just like the others, thinks a level 5 couldn't have gone into a dungeon. The Inquisitor then hands the artifact to him. Before he leaves, he decides to tell him something useful. He narrates a story that took place 15 years ago. In a small village, there lived a married couple. The hunter was a veteran. He may not have been the leader of his party, but attracted a lot of people. One day, his party was given a quest. However, he became quite frightened in front of a weak-looking monster, and the members could not understand why this normally brave hunter would act in such an embarrassing way. When the party decided to kick him out, the man yelled that the monster's level was over 80. It was then that he told his companions the truth, since they refused to believe him that he was an otherworlder and could see the levels of other people and monsters. The monsters attacked them, and to buy time for his companions to run, that otherworlder fought the monster alone. After finishing this story, the Inquisitor asks him who he thinks died by the end. He replies he thinks that the otherworlder, whose identity was just discovered, must have died. The Inquisitor reveals that everyone except for the otherworlder and the party leader survived. Everyone else that was connected to him was slaughtered. The leader sold him out to the Dark Brotherhood and was exempted because of that reason. The otherworlder who miraculously survived then returned home. However, the villagers burned down his house after hearing the rumors. His burning rags caused him to leave the village. Afterward, he massacred everyone involved in it. According to the Dark Brotherhood, anyone related to otherworlders will suffer misfortunes, but wonders what fault would a simple level 5 have, as he wonders why the Inquisitor revealed this in the first place. He is enlightened that it is common to see otherworlders dispose of artifacts by using innocent hunters for cases like these. The Inquisitor decides to let it slide this one time, but demands details about his party. Unable to hold back any longer, Han-Bin tries to land a punch from behind, only for Atis to jump in at the last second to smooth things over. Atis starts shouting at Han-Bin for being useless and even calls him a dumb meathead. He remarks that he is at fault for leaving the artifact with someone as dumb as him. Han-Bin tries to speak back, but he shuts him up. The Dark Brotherhood has Atis introduce himself like a good boy. Atis Bannister from the Bannister. The Inquisitor is amazed to see someone from the Dragon Hunter Bannister family alive. He thought their bloodline had ended, but his special amulet proved otherwise. Atis claims that he may be weak, but he is doing his utmost best to revive his family. The Dark Brotherhood apologizes to him for his appearance, as he is on duty and cannot take off his mask. He is trying to figure out Han-Bin and the Bannisters' connection. Atis lies about Han-Bin being his party's porter for a quest a few days ago. Additionally, it hasn't been long since Han-Bin came to Empress, so he is unfamiliar with this place. Han-Bin is startled and wonders if Atis is lying just to help him out. Meanwhile, the mage continues to waffle to save him. Following the artifact incident, he claims to have sent Han-Bin to bring the artifact for further investigation, which brings them to where they are now. Han-Bin gets the gist of what's happening, and since Atis is helping him out, he chooses to play along. He apologizes to the Heresy Inquisitor, and both he and Atis start walking, with the mage adding that there's still some research to be done. He pays the Inquisitor respect by bidding him a proper farewell with the Heresy Inquisitor's catchphrase, "May the blessings of the darkness be with you." Atis wasn't happy with his friend acted earlier. Han-Bin is surprised that he hasn't asked him a single question, not even back when they first met in the forest. He wonders what Atis would have done if he turned out to be a strange person. Just before they are gone, the Dark Brotherhood baits them both by asking what kind of ability the artifact has. Expectedly, they both enunciate a different ability and realize that they have messed up big time. The enemy closes the distance between them promptly and orders them to follow his lead. We go back to the first day after Han-Bin joined Berkman's party. He is fighting different species of monsters varying in levels, but are overall weaker. He is not satisfied fighting only puny monsters. After struggling to get past Rock Mountain, he is taking out his frustration on the monsters, and feels that even the Hell Dogs are better than them. He is desperate to level up and appears to be going insane. Abruptly he hears Berkman calling him, and when he snaps back to reality, he finds himself in the company of his old friend. The tank reassures him that this may be his first time joining a party. But there's nothing to worry about. He offers Han-Bin a special dish prepared by Amber as a welcome gift, though he can't guarantee the taste, which makes her angry. She advises him that once he steps out onto the field, he should think of it as a war. Even though Berkman has accepted him, she hasn't. She also states that they don't need a brat that will complain about the food. He wonders if the tank's party members messed with his food, but is confident that it wouldn't be worse than Hell Dog's meat. Upon reflection, he realizes that it has been a few decades since he had something other than the Hell Dog. Hanging out with his new party was a feeling of not being alone. Back to the present, the Dark Brotherhood is prepared to take Han-Bin and Atis with him. Han-Bin assumes he is using wind magic, but Atis refuses to believe that because the Inquisitor isn't exerting any mana. He believes it's healing winds, something that only high-leveled spiritualists can pull off, implying their opponent is a formidable priest. Han-Bin isn't confident about fighting a priest under the current circumstances. He can win if he starts fighting seriously, but then his identity will be revealed. Their limbs may get cut off fighting the Dark Brotherhood, but it won't be lethal as long as they stay inside his healing winds barrier. He prefers if they both quietly follow him. Han-Bin believes that there is no choice but to surrender. He approaches the Dark Brother and asks if they will leave everyone else if they find out who cleared the dungeon. The Dark Brotherhood accepts the conditions because they are busy people, and withdraws the healing winds. Han-Bin confesses that he was the one who cleared the dungeon. Before the situation escalates, Lauda interrupts. He has returned with the 2 hunters he saved. The survivors, Alicia and the hunter boy, appear to be complimenting him for clearing the dungeon alone, unaware that it was Han-Bin who cleared it. Laud himself believes that he must have beaten the boss and cleared the dungeon by grabbing the dungeon source, but after the dungeon disappeared, he almost died of hunger in the Yifan Plains. That was when the surviving hunters from that dungeon found him on their way back to Ompris. They all are thankful to each other. As the prideful hunter is daydreaming, the troops of Heresy Inquisitors capture him and decide to lock him up. Han-Bin and Atise are surprised at how he was the one to clear the dungeon. Han-Bin thought he would turn into a complete monster. A member of the Heresy Inquisitors apologizes to them for the Dark Brotherhood's behavior. When Atise inquires about what would happen to Lauda, the Inquisitor keeps the location undisclosed, but mention his friend will be imprisoned and investigated thoroughly. They will verify his testimony, and if there are no problems, he will be released. While Han-Bin prefers Lauda to rot in the cell, the mage is glad that the prideful hunter will be free soon. Though he doesn't genuinely hate him, because things turned out okay thanks to his intervention, the Dark Brother decides to compensate for not letting him sell his magic stone, and writes a check in the name of Benister. Assuming Han-Bin is a country bumpkin who doesn't have a bank, before handing him the check, he asks for Han-Bin's signature. Han-Bin recalls his mother's advice to not sign something carelessly. When he shows signs of nervousness, the Dark Brotherhood assures him that they don't use underhanded tricks. Though no promises can be made about the Order of Light, he hands him something to look at once the signing is done, and then leaves. He goes blank for a moment and turns to Atise for a favor. At the Ompris Hunters Guild, the receptionist Sigori apologizes to Berkman because his party didn't get the notice. Moreover, the Guildmaster of Ompris has run away, and Sigori appears to be taking the blame for his share too. Being a kind man, the tank reassures her that it's not her fault that the Guildmaster ran away, and understands that everyone must have been busy. He finds it amazing that she is still protecting this place. Meanwhile, Amber, who has just returned after selling all her magic stones, brings up that the guild's entire fund only has 5 coins left. She explains that the guildmaster ran off with all the money, and knew that Berkman's party wouldn't sit still, which is why he never bothered notifying them. She's devastated, but he, in contrast, is savoring the beer he received from the guild. She shouts at him for drinking at a time like this. She thinks their future as hunters is finished since the guild is destroyed, and is worried about how they'll make money moving forward. He brings up how 20 years ago he stubbornly proclaimed to protect the village. Back when Ompris didn't even have a guild or dungeon. She recalls the moment and mentions having saved him more than 100 times. Entering his romantic mode, he insists that it doesn't matter if there's a guild or not, because since the day he met her, his heart has never changed. She mentions that this is the reason she's still single, but upon realizing her words, she starts stuttering and tries to think of a way to explain herself. In the heat of the moment, he makes a romantic move, but Hubert interrupts and nearly gets injured by Amber's coin attack. She seems angry for some reason and suggests they continue their talk after the party. Quite scared, Berkman agrees to follow her lead. While they relish their moment of peace and free will, someone approaches through the guild's main entrance.